Now we can go into the trenching review. I already covered a lot about the trenching on the last workshop. I just want to bring this back into the spotlight over here because it's a tool that a lot of our customers requested, and I think that is interesting for everyone to know that it's already available now for everyone. When I did the workshop, it was not available, but now it's available. And the idea of the trenching tool is that you can create linear excavations quickly. You can, because you use one line as an input, and then you can define the profile of that trench, like how wide it's going to be, and you can also set up a slope angle for the bottom of that trench, right? So in a situation where I want to, let's say that I'm going to work with this scenario over here, and I'll have my excavation, but I need to do a hookup of like with the main line in of like the water main. Here I can go into my excavation tool, and then I will create a trench, right? So there's this new option of a trench, and the idea of the trench is that you can draw a line, right? And then from this line, when you hit confirm, it will create a trench for you that will have this profile over here with this width, and this sketch elevation and bottom elevation is for you to kind of like refer to where the line is placed and what is the bottom of that excavation. But also you can define the trench depth from here, right? So you can choose these values that are related to sea level using these two buttons. And this is the same for like any element in cmBuilder that you see a button like this is for you to select what is the sea level elevation in the map that you want to apply to this input, right? So doing that, you can see that my trench was created over there. Setting up the color for the trench, you set the color for the whole thing, the bottom and the walls. The profile is where you can place in like on the slope for the profile. Different from the excavation, the sloping for the trench will go all the way through always, right? You won't define what is the elevation of the slope. It will cut all the way through until top, and you can also like define what is the slope of that trench in here and so on, right? So the last thing about the trench that is super interesting and important is that you can have the trench sloped. So the slope bottom for the trench will start on the first point that you selected, and it will go all the way through it. So like when I click on edit sketch, I can see where is the first point that I selected. There will always be in the origin point with this vertical and horizontal references. And when I click the slope bottom, like this grade is applied from here and going down all the way to the end. Okay, so this is the orientation of our slope. And then from here, you can do whatever you want with your sketching, with your trench. So if you want to go into the resources, you can type in over here on the all function. If I type in trench, I'm going to see some trench boxes, right? So you can place them as a point if you want to, or you can place them as a polyline. So when you place them as a polyline, usually what I suggest, just like place like it freely so you can see how the polyline controls that element. Because right now I'm noticing that I'm not placing the element from like the middle point. I'm placing it from one of the sides. So knowing that like that line controls this side of the trench, I can go back now on my edit sketch and I can align this line with the face of the trench, right? So snap this to that wall, and I can also snap the point to a face. So I can click on the point and snap it to this face. I can click on this point and snap it to this face, right? If I want to see exactly what the changes of my sketch did to the 3D geometry that's going to be generated from this, I can click on settings and click on live preview. So we'll see more or less what's happening over there, right? So don't worry about this kind of like placement because right now this is set up to project on terrain. So you just need to deactivate this, and then you can move the trench down and up, or you can change like the height of the trenching of this object and so on and so forth, right? So now you have your trench over there all set up and like adjusted to it. Of course, you can adjust the function like for the width, for everything that you need from here directly. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So this is it related to the trenching. And of course, you can place these elements in your timeline, right? So the trenching itself, you control it by moving these cuts and the trenching like throughout the timeline that you have, like on your milestones over here. So I can have my trench happening on excavation number 3, for example. And then when I go back, that trench is not there. And then when I go forward, it's there. And the resource that you place, you will connect it to the timeline with the same way that you connect everything else. Cool, cool, cool. There you go. So this is our trenching tool. And there's one last thing about this is that if you want to, I already covered this in another workshop, is that if you want to create pipes related to this trenching, we suggest that you use 3D lines because the 3D lines will give you like a better looking and more customizable shaping for these objects as long as you deactivate the project on terrain and make it solid. So this will look like a pipe. We do intend to create a utility creation tool, but that's further in the future. Okie dokie. So this is our trenching tool.